welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're really excited for you to join us today. We have my brother, Barb's son, Dean, on with us again. He was on with us in episode 55 where we talked about exercising and things like that. Right now, by the time this airs, he will be done the competition, but he's just going into a bodybuilding competition. So he's got a lot of knowledge when it comes to different meal plans and exercising and things like that. So we're going to talk to him about that. So we're excited that you're on with us. Yay.
I'm excited to be on here. Love being on here with you guys.
Well, we've come a long way because now we do video. And when you were back on episode 55, we were just doing the
Just recording.
audio.
Exactly. I remember that.
So do you want to talk about a little bit about this competition that you're going in and kind of what's inspired you to get to where you're going?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So a few years back, you guys know, I did a competition, my first competition ever that I had done in bodybuilding, the King Kong Classic, and entered in two divisions there. Was the Masters 50 plus and the Open Heavyweight division. Didn't place where I wanted to, but it was a definite eye opener and a big experience for me in the sport of bodybuilding and what it takes to compete at a higher level. So that kind of just ignited the fire that I want to do it again. And this year I'm going for the win. So yeah, here we go. And so you know what, it just, for me, it's the amount of clarity, the people that you're lucky enough in your life to run into and have as like support mechanisms, to back you up through what you're doing, meeting the right people that are going to walk you through the show. Obviously, my trainer last year, John, and I have a outstanding relationship. We're still best friends, and we talk all the time. He's going to be there supporting and stuff like that. But moved on to a different trainer this year, and it was probably the best move that I could have made. Aaron's a very smart gentleman when it comes to bodybuilding. He's competes at the highest level. He's at the Olympia level and stuff like that. So to have somebody like that in your corner, and his wife Emily that also competes at the Olympic level, meant a lot. So I feel like I'm gifted, or blessed, I guess you'd say, to have wonderful family like you guys that you're coming up for my show. It's gonna be great. Can't wait to see you there and stuff. That's gonna be awesome. It just makes the show that much more special. And then, yeah, like just the people you meet, and then the networking and stuff that you get through while you're going through the process, and there's a lot of positive people in this sport. So most people that are, I think that there's a big stigma with bodybuilding and stuff like that, where anybody that has muscles has to be on some sort of a steroid or something like that. So it just the persona of what that person, are they a meathead type of a deal, like you can't, unapproachable. And it's quite the opposite. There's very, very good people in this sport, and most people in the sport care about the other people, the people that are coming into the sport. Because if you've never been in a gym, or you've never lifted the weights or used a machine, or you don't know how your diet and stuff goes, then it's important to have people that are going to come in and help you along with those things. And for me, I think that's like the biggest gratitude I have for what I do is not my own gratification of, obviously, me being in this competition is going to be amazing, and hopefully I finish first, and woot woot. But the gratification of my my clients that I train, that are underneath me, that are hitting goals on a daily basis. It's amazing when I go in and I see, like I have one client right now. He's a Dill. He's a smaller Indian guy, and maybe weighed 130 pounds when we started working out. And not yesterday, but not today, but yesterday when we went to work out, he had a muscle shirt on, and
Nice.
it was like the best thing you could see. Like you see this little skinny guy that has put the time and the work in. We've been working together for 3 months now, and he's got muscles poking out and he's got veins on his arms and stuff like that. So it's like to see him walk in a muscle shirt, that level of confidence that he didn't have before, and now he has that confidence now. um, that's a gift in itself.
Hmm. Yeah, it absolutely is. And it goes to show you that when you're ready, the teachers will arrive for you, right? Somebody to inspire you and motivate you and help you through this journey. And
Yeah.
I think it's amazing what you're doing, and I think it's amazing how you're helping all these other people too, including myself. So I know that, I had an experience this summer where I was out of breath and I was just at a point where I was like, okay, this is not cool anymore for me. You know, I want to retire at 61, not die, which is, I know, dramatic, but not out of the question. So I know I called you and we talked about it, and then you have set me up with a meal plan, which I'm not going to lie. When you first set it up, I was like, that's a lot of food, dude. I'm not going to be able to eat all that, but I can. And I'm losing weight. So, and then it's inspiring me because I feel better. So I'm walking now every day and you know what I mean? And my mind is a lot clearer. So I know what you're saying with the clarity there. And I just, can you talk a little bit about that? Like how the bodybuilding has kind of started giving you that clarity?
You know what? Like it's interesting, like food in itself. Even like you just saying that, like the quantity, part of me, the quantity of food it seems overwhelming, or it seems like distracting a little bit, that I'm not going to be able to do this because I'm used to eating a salad and this and that. But when when the body starts receiving the right nutrients and the right foods that it needs, is when the body starts responding the best to everything that you're doing. And it was really through this prep and us getting ready for this show, a lot of it had to do that with the food that I was eating. So for me, I was very unaware of my stomach issues. Um, like growing up and stuff like that, I always wanted to eat the hottest hot wings and like the manliest foods you could get out there, right? But
Did you ever?
and you know what? Like the body dealt with it and it was fine, but trying to take your body to a different level where you're really shredding every inch of fat and you're trying to cut down everything and be really, pardon me, really lean, when you don't understand uh, the toxins that your body's going through. So for me, it was the gluten. My body just didn't agree with gluten, and luckily enough for me, it was the one thing that was different with Aaron and Johnny was Johnny's very good at what he does with the food and stuff like that, and he brought me to a great show. But Aaron right away recognized my gut health and worked with the gut health. So when we started taking out the gluten and we went to lactose free, and we were very very picky on the foods that we were eating, and like he said, have your chicken and rice, and I said, oh, I'll put some tomato sauce with that, that'd be great. And he's, no, 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 stay away from the tomatoes, right? Like they're all different things that they're inflammatory, and they make your body swell up, and so you could be losing weight and your abs look really good, but if you're constantly bloated or inflamed from the food that you're eating, it's really hard for your body to respond correctly to the nutrition that you're putting into it. So um, I think that when you get your nutritional values figured out and you're eating the foods properly, is when the good things start to happen. And like Kim just said, you know, energy levels go up. I feel like doing things, where it was a lot of food. The first time I ate it, it was like, man, that's a lot of food. But now, is different. Now it's like, yeah, well, I ate my food, but I'm hungry. Like I want more food. Like I'm ready for it. And it's
Yeah.
just, your body is now receiving things properly. So the energy levels you're going to have are going to be better because you're constantly fueling the body instead of, like when all you're giving yourself is a salad, and the body's going, okay, well, thanks for the salad, but where's the protein? Where's the carbs? Where's everything else that my body needs to fuel and get me going? Or because you're not giving me any of that. So it's you almost starve yourself out, starving yourself out. Like you're trying to be on a diet, and the object of a diet isn't always less is more. It's just understanding that my body needs so many calories in a day to operate, so I need to be able to hit those calories. And then when you understand what a deficit is and what a surplus is, then it's easier to manipulate what you want to do with your body, basically. If you want to
Yeah. So rather you're trying to lose weight or
lose weight, gain weight. Yeah. Yeah. Like right now, I'm in the deficit because I'm trying to lose weight and have everything shredded up. But once the competition is over, then we'll go to what's called a reverse diet, and we will probably start working our way back up. And then that's right after the competition is the best time to grow. So that's where we'll start probably packing in some calories again. We'll get back up to a high calorie diet, and we'll see what happens for next year.
That's amazing. And I know with mom, you've been helping mom, and I know that you're proud of her like I am, because I say to her all the time, I'm so proud of her for working out all the time, because if she fell, or as she's maturing well because she's exercising and she's eating right and those kind of things. So I know, can you talk a little bit about like how important exercise or moving your body in general is for people?
Absolutely. Like, you know what? There's there's nothing better on this planet that you could ever do than exercising your body. Like at the bare minimum, just moving, getting up, not staying sedentary, not being afraid to walk across the street, not always parking at the closest parking spot, not being afraid to park at the other side of the parking lot and walk across. Those are the things that are going to keep, all your joints, the liquids in the joints, keeping everything moving nice and smoothly. Um, the less we use our body and the less we use our muscles, the more that the atrophy kicks in and the muscles cramp up. And, now it sucks to get out of bed. We get up in the morning and our back is sore, and because we haven't been doing anything with our body. So it's like even the smallest movements can help. And when you start with the smaller movements, like when we had the gym and mom come out and she learned a bunch of the movements in the gym and stuff like that. And it was something that she could take with her into her daily life that, I don't have to be there to train you, to show you how to do it. But if you're doing some of these movements, they're going to keep you, they're going to keep you agile and keep you. And those are the things that, especially as we get older, the risk of falls and slips and things like that, they always, increase. It's worse all the time. So if we have no muscle mass to hold ourselves up, then the chances of falling or not being able to catch yourself as we're going down, it's just catastrophic. And you watch what happens when somebody's at an older age and they have that fall. It's usually at that point where things, really take that nosedive.
Yeah.
So I think that the more people that can stay active just on a daily thing, like just learn a couple basic movements. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't have to be a bodybuilder, right? Like that's a whole different extreme by itself. But you know, a lot of clients I've trained in the past, we've had a lot of the same conversations. Has been, I don't want to look like you, right? So I don't want to lift the weights because I don't want to look like you. And I say that's fine, but to look like me is a lot of work. You're not gonna look like me just by moving a couple of weights, right? Like I train for a couple hours a day, every day. Like I'm in the gym a lot, and I don't go easy. So it to look that way takes a whole different skill level. But to lift weights, like everybody thinks that the best thing you can do is go into the gym, jump on the cardio machine, run on, as fast as you can on the cardio machine for 2 hours, and that's going to be your best outcome. It's just not bad because it's going to help your heart health, and it's definitely good to have, good cardio. But as we get older, like once we hit that 35, 40, the body, it wants weights. It wants you moving weights. The muscles need to be worked and to be used in different angles and directions. And, that's the stuff that's going to keep you young and agile for a lot longer. If I can be like this at 54 years old, then, anybody can be, really. It's not a miracle or anything like that. It's just determination. And, when you put your mindset to where you want to be, then you're going to chase after that goal. And if you have the proper people in your corner that are, kind of pushing you along the way, which is where I'll always say, to have a trainer or to have a food coach or to have, whatever it's going to be, is always going to be your best practice. Because when we're left on our own accord, it's easy for us to walk past the gym and say, you know what, I'm going to hit the couch tonight. There's a good, I'm into that Netflix series that I really like, so I'm going to watch that, and then I'll start working out. But then another series is going to come out, another series is going to come out, and you're never going to go to the gym. Whereas if you have a trainer, sometimes you're paying a little bit more. Like, I'm not saying pay an astronomical amount to a trainer, but it's kind of like joining a Planet Fitness, and nothing against Planet Fitness by any way, but if you join a Planet Fitness and you're paying $10 a month, let's say $15 a month, even $30 a month. When you break that down, if you go to the gym every day for that month, you pay $1 a day, right? So if you miss the gym and it costs you $1, how many times have you not put a buggy back because, you could get your dollar back if you, but fuck, I'd have to walk, but I'd have to walk all the way across the thing to get my dollar. It's not worth the dollar to me, right? And it's kind of the same thing as if I'm going to a gym and I'm paying next to nothing. If I miss the gym, it's not a big deal. Whereas if I'm paying my trainer $200 a month for my trainer, and I'm going to make sure I hit those things, $200 is a lot of money, right? But you also have somebody that is watching you. Like you're accountable to that person. So they're saying, I want to check in. I want you to take pictures, or I want you to weigh yourself, and I want you to tell me how the food's going. I want to, did you miss a meal? Did you eat, pardon me, something outside of the diet? I need to know about that stuff, because we can't hit our goals if one of us isn't honest with the other one. So that's, I think, my best advice to anybody that is seriously wants to do something with themselves is to go along that route.
Yeah, makes sense. I know when you started doing things with me, if I used to work out at least 5 times a week. I've been a little less these days, but I find that when I do work out and I do it proper, like you showed me, I have less back pain, less knee pain, all those different things. And I'm not taking Tylenol and things like that. And because I am mature in my life, I don't want to be on all these other pills. I want to be trying to stay as natural as I possibly can. So I really appreciate how you work with Kim and I, and what it's doing for us is, and it's going to help other people just by listening to you, makes sense.
Yeah. Hopefully anybody that listens to it, gets something out of it. It's kind of my belief, if you hear one thing and then it sticks with you, then, it was worth listening to. So and I agree 1,000% with you with the medications and stuff like that. There's so many people walking around today that are on like blood pressure medicines, things to help you sleep, things to keep you awake, things to give you energy, things to take away a pain. There's and nothing against doctors. I mean, we need doctors, but it's very common to go to a doctor and the first thing they do is they prescribe you with a medication instead of prescribing you. Like, I think myself personally that when we have an insurance plan and things like that, or even a government insurance, should almost be, like, we'll pay for a gym membership for you. Go get
I
healthy.
agree.
Go get healthy. Like, I mean, you don't need the blood pressure medication if your blood pressure isn't all whacked out, because now your body's performing properly.
Yeah.
You don't have that sleep apnea machine anymore, because I'm not 40 pounds overweight and I don't have all that weight sitting on my heart when I'm sleeping and all that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't need that stuff. So it's not that, these things aren't designed for some different reasons. And sometimes, you do need something outside, but I would say probably a good 70% of the time, the stuff that's prescribed isn't needed at all. Like, there's different ways around it, and it's just being healthy, eating healthy.
Yeah.
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 I have to say, somebody asked me yesterday, we were just talking a little bit about, I'm excited, right? And which is really awesome, because then you share it with other people and other people get excited. And then they share some of the things they're doing. And then, like we were talking about, the girls were talking about, different exercises and some classes. And I'm like, oh, I really miss going to those kind of classes. Maybe I'll come in one time and go with you girls, right? And I was talking about different stuff, and they're like, oh, so like, do you really miss food? And I said, I said, I've decided the only thing that I really, really miss doing this clean eating is butter. I miss butter. Like right on
You
your
miss the butter. I would
on
miss my
your
butter.
rice,
But,
right?
but just because we eat clean, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't have things in your diet. It's like we did with you, like you can have meals. Like, you stick with the diet for the most part, and like, if you're following that diet 100% right to a key, then if you have that cheat meal, not a cheat day, and these are but they're the terms that people get mistaken really easy, right? So it's easy to take a cheat meal, turn that into a cheat day, and then you take your calories for the week, and in that one day you've put more calories into your body than you have in the entire week almost. It's not that you can't have a cheat meal. It's when you have the cheat meal, you just have to be smart about it,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, have a piece of pizza and enjoy it. Why not? Right? It's not gonna kill you, and it's not gonna take your diet so far out of whack that you can't get it back. You should enjoy some food, but don't sit down and eat the whole pizza, right?
That's
Like,
right.
it's control, and it's just being wise about what we're doing. We're saying, oh, great, I get to have a piece of cake tonight, and a piece of a slice of pizza, and well, great, enjoy that. You deserved it. You've been working hard at what you've been doing, so enjoy that. But then tomorrow it's time to get back on track.
That's
Right?
right.
It's time to
Well,
go back to work here.
yeah, and that's 100%, because that's what happened yesterday is we have these girls' nights. So then we go, there's all these appies. So there was some healthier choices, like some veggies and some, fruit and some little bit of meat, processed, but still a little bit of meat, right? And so, yeah, I did have a little bit, because I'm not going to go and not have that. And you know what I mean? But I didn't have what I would normally have. I broke it down and everybody's like, is that enough? I'm like, this is perfect. I'm satiated and I feel good. And then today came back and I'm like, okay, we're back on track. We're doing what we need to do. We're food prepping for the week to make it easier. We're doing all these things. So I think that's important.
It's the small things that we do that make the biggest impact, and like you just said, the meal prepping. So, like, for myself, I eat a lot of food, so I have to meal prep. It's a very important part of what I do is making sure my meals are prepped. But being at that level is a different thing. But it's not different than being at the same level that you're at. Is if you're prepping your meals, if you don't prep your meals and you say, okay, I need this many calories, now your brain is just like that meme, where all the stuff's floating around the head. It's like that. You're trying to calculate stuff and you're making it hard on yourself. So take the hardness out of it. Like, make it simple. Like, keep it simple. It's if you know what your calories are, and especially if you have somebody helping you dial into what your macros are and stuff like that. If you can meal prep, it's a no-brainer. You get up in the morning, you grab it out of the fridge, you go to work, and you get all your meals for the day. If you
Yeah.
don't, you're going to go to the easiest source every single time, right? So Tim Hortons down the road. Well, you know what?
That's
A
true.
turkey bacon club doesn't sound like a bad choice, and then it's not a horrible choice, not the worst choice you could make. You know, there's much worse, but you do that today, and then you do that, for your next meal because again, you didn't bring your lunch, so I need another one. I'm gonna have a bowl of chili, and I'm gonna have this, and then your calories are just all over the place, and your body can never regulate and say, okay, well, this is what I get today, right? So now your body's just going like this, and it's trying to figure out what's going on, and it's going through it's going crazy, you're going crazy. When if you just meal prep, and it doesn't take that long. Like once you get used to it, meal prep is very easy. You know, you do it on a Sunday, you spend a couple hours and meal prep your stuff for the week. Or if you're home every night, like, I mean, you can meal prep every single night. So it's, I think that's probably one of the better things you could ever do is having your meals made for you all the time. And then, you're going to be eating healthy. You're going to be eating the same macros all the time, the same calories all the time. And your weight loss journey will be great. If you're trying to put size on, if it's somebody that wants to grow and get bigger in the gym, staying in that surplus, making sure you're, again, eating healthy foods, but cramming it in there.
So can you talk to people a little bit like about that calculator that you told me just so like our followers kind of know? And then can you explain to people what macros are? Because I don't know if there's people that follow us that don't know that, but I know when you first said it to me and I was like, I have no clue what that even means. And then you explained it and then I kind of got a little bit better understanding. So if you could just explain that to people, that'd be awesome.
There's a basic calculator on everybody, has a smartphone or an internet now, so it's not hard to access. And if you look up, it's TDEE, Ted, Doug, Edward, TDEE calculator. If you bring that up and you find, TDE.com, I think it is, or something like that. If you go on there, it'll task you to fill out a basic questionnaire. It takes you literally 3 minutes. It's going to want your age, your weight. I can't remember what it asks. It does ask for your body fat percentage, but that's an optional thing. You don't have to fill that out. It's going to give you your basic calories. So what TDEE is total daily energy expenditure. That's what it stands for. And that's basically, depending on what our lifestyle is. Do I have a sedentary lifestyle? Am I in the gym 2 days a week? Am I a jogger? Am I, in the gym 5 days a week? Do I have a very active job position that I have to do, where I'm always doing something? So you get to see on there, you're putting what your lifestyle is, then that's going to tell you what your maintenance level is, like what your maintenance calories are. So for you to, let's say I'm 150 pounds and I want to stay at 150 pounds, I just want to eat healthy and stay at 150 pounds, then that calculator will tell you what your maintenance calories are. Now, if I wanted to lose weight, then I need to go into a deficit, which is usually calculates to around 500. So you just subtract 500 off of whatever your daily calories are, and that's going to put you into your basic calorie deficit. And it'd be the same thing if I wanted to go into a surplus, depending on, how much size I want to put on and what I'm doing is going to determine the surplus. But you're probably going to be in around that 500. So we're just adding 500 to our maintenance. And then the macros is basically, macro just stands for macronutrition. Jesus, so spit that one out. Macronutrients. Your macronutrients are your basic your carbs, your protein, and your fats. So when you understand, how much of each that your body needs to take in, it makes it easier for you to dial what your meal program is going to look like. So how much how much rice do I have to add to my meal, or how much potato do I add to the meal? How much protein, chicken or fish or, meats or, what am I using? Picking the cleaner meats and things like that, instead of having, again, we get our cheat day. So we have that really nice ribeye on our cheat day. But the rest of the week, we want to be eating really, really, extra lean ground beef or extra lean flank steaks or, the leanest quality that we can. Even like a strip loin is not too bad. It's just picking better quality stuff. And so when you understand that, and that's the tricky part for a lot of people, like when it gets down to the macros and the calories and things like that. And this is where, sometimes we go outside and we look at having some outside help for somebody that's going to help us build those meal plans.
Yeah, I would agree with that because like I know for me it was very confusing, and so I'm very grateful that you showed me this, and now it's allowing me to be able to say, like, oh, okay, I could swap this vegetable out for this vegetable so long as it's, similar, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And change things up. So you have a little bit of variety, but you're still staying where you're supposed to be staying. So, and I can only speak for myself. I've only been doing it, what, I think maybe not even a week, I think, but already I'm noticing some differences in myself. Like I have more energy, I'm sleeping better. I feel clearer in my head. Like just,
Mhm.
and I'm getting out and going for a walk. And I think people need to understand too that, if you don't have weights at home, you can do a lot of things with your own body weight that are so, so good for you as a starting point, at least, right? Get out, go for a walk, do some push-ups, do some different things, right? That's what I believe, anyways.
Body weight is one of the most underestimated things out there. Body weight anything can be made heavy. Like if you lift up a glass, an empty glass, that glass, you can lift it up and down a thousand times. But if you change the way that you're moving the glass, all of a sudden that glass, now you lift it 15 times and that glass is kind of heavy. And it's the same thing with doing body weight exercises is, if I'm trying to do a squat or a wall sit or, whatever it is, it's just trying to keep yourself in the best posture. Definitely posture has everything to do with everything. Making sure my posture is really good, making sure I'm not speeding through the motions that I'm doing. So I don't want to like do everything really fast. I want to slow it down. I want to take time, especially, like in the eccentric, concentric. Eccentric is like if you were doing a squat or something like that. When you're going down, that would be the eccentric, and then as you explode up into it and you squeeze on the legs, then that would be your concentric move. So especially if you use the eccentric load. So a lot of times when I want to do a wall sit and I just take my time getting down into that wall sit, I let my legs load up, I let the muscles, you can feel them, and then after about 30 seconds of sitting up against that wall, you're like, my God, my legs are shaking. But don't underestimate how much progress that's doing for you. It's helping you immensely, because if your legs are shaking, it means your legs are working hard, and those muscles are getting fatigued and they're having to work to do the job. So if you find that and you go, oh, this sucks, then you're probably not going to succeed at it. It's everything that we want isn't always going to be easy. But if we do that today and we say, you know what, I could probably do that 3 times today, and you do that at 3 different times, and then tomorrow you do it 3 different times, and then you give it a day's rest, and then the next day you do it a couple more times, well, you're going to be surprised that all of a sudden your legs are going to be stronger, and that's just a body weight exercise. So we could do that with anything. Push-ups. People say I can't do a push-up. Like it's too hard. I want to do a push-up, but I can't. So take the floor out of the equation and do it off a wall for the beginning. In the beginning till you get stronger, and as you get stronger, you do it off the bed, and then as you get stronger, do it off a chair, and then and then off the floor, and you'd be surprised all of a sudden you're doing push-ups on the floor, and you're going, oh my God, I never thought I'd be able to do this, right? But it's just progression. It's you I can't just walk in a gym and lift a 200-pound weight. I got to work my way up to that 200-pound weight. I have to get stronger, and I have to get better at what I'm doing. And it's the same thing with doing body weight exercises. It's, never underestimate what a body weight exercise will do for you, because it'll do a lot for you, especially in the beginning, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true.
And I think too, right? As you're on this journey, like I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I said, really my journey, obviously I would like to be thinner, but that's not really my journey. My journey really is about getting healthy, is like, bringing down my blood pressure, is making my heart a little bit healthier, being able to stay in this world for a little bit longer. And if I lose weight in the meantime, that's just an extra bonus. But I really think, like you were talking about, your one guy that you train there, him showing up in the tank top. So I think we need to celebrate some of those non-scale victories of that, right? Oh, my jeans are looser, or my shirt's looser, whatever. Like, can you talk about that a little bit?
I think the most important thing with any journey you're going to go on, when it's any kind of a fitness journey, whether it's to get my blood pressure back, overall feeling better, or, do I want to lose a little bit of weight? Like, what are my goals? And what people often do too often is they walk in with an outrageous goal. So it's not that the goal is out of reach. It's just not in reach right now. And humans, when we fail at something, we take it to heart, and we don't want to go back to it because we feel like we failed it. And so setting our goals too high right off the bat is one of the most dangerous things that we can do. So it's just setting realistic goals. Again, sometimes it's, if you have a trainer or something like that, they're going to talk to you and they're going to help you set those goals. If not, just, like, say I want to lose 30 pounds. So instead of making my goal, I'm going to lose 30 pounds, because 30 pounds is going to take us a bit of time to lose. And when we don't see results overnight, which we all know doesn't happen, right? We want it to, but it doesn't happen overnight. And so when we set those goals outside of our reach, we get discouraged really easy. So instead of making that 30-pound weight loss, well, let's aim for 5, 10, let's lose 10 pounds. So 10 pounds is achievable if we're losing, if we're on a decent meal plan, we're losing between a pound to 2 pounds a week. 4 weeks we've lost 8 pounds. 5 weeks we've lost to 10. Well, now we've just achieved our first goal, and we could celebrate that goal. You should be proud of yourself. You should be woot woot and screaming, at the top of your lungs. I just, I lost 10 pounds. This is great. I hit my first goal. What's our next goal? Right. And again, take that second goal and don't make that second goal out of reach. Was 10 easy? Okay, well, if 10 was easy, let's pick on 15 this time, right? Let's make it a little bit harder, but still achievable. And so then we lose that 15 pounds. Well, shit, now we've lost 25 pounds, right? We wanted to lose 30. We're 5 off of our main goal, right? So now you have something to celebrate. We lose that last 5. We've done the 30. Well, what's next? And by that time, usually once you've hit a couple goals like that, and you're finding that this program that you're working on is working for you, and you're achieving the goals, and you're making it the place you want, and your clothes fit differently, and people are coming up to you and going, my God, what are you doing? You look great. So those things are the things that are going to make, it kind of puts that light switch on, and it goes, I can do this. And I think that's the biggest thing, is just, don't over aim. Like, just aim for smaller goals, achieve them, make those goals, celebrate the goals, and then move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the thing with like with my client there, like when we started, he has some back issues, and he has a hereditary thing. He will not be able to walk one day. Like, it's going to happen, and he knows it, and his doctors prepared him for it, and it's just something degenerative in the back, and over time his back will seize up, and he won't be able to walk. But his doctor told him, which brings a lot of the people to the gym, and why people, we get bad news from a doctor, and that's why we end up doing what we got to do. And so, he came up to me and asked if we could do something about it. And I said, of course we can. We just got to build muscle around it, right? So the back, if you just leave the back alone, you don't do anything with it, then it's going to seize up a lot faster. But if we work on the back and we build some muscle around it and we get you strong, then, that's the difference. It's going to prolong how long it's going to be. Like, I mean, you might get an extra 15, 20, 30 years out of what's going to happen before, it happens. And when it does happen, maybe it's not nearly as severe as it was going to be. So it's he started with the 3 months and, he didn't think anything was going to happen. And now for him to be, I send him videos all the time because he doesn't see it, but I see it because I see him all the time. So I send him a video and he'll go, is that me? I'm like, yeah, that's you. And he goes, that's my muscle. And I'm like, yeah, like you don't see it, but dude, you got muscles. You look great. Like, so I'm so proud of this little guy.
Yeah, it feels so good when you know that you're doing something that's creating a good health for your body. It just feels good. Like, I know that for me, like, people ask me all the time, do you meditate? I meditate when I'm working out. It's just like my mind goes somewhere else. And if I remember to slow down, there's my big thing. Because you get down there and you're doing your exercise first, and you're thinking, oh, well, I want to put all this in 30 minutes or whatever timing you're giving yourself. Then when you realize that, whoa, I'm going too fast, I'm not going to be doing anything for my exercise today. But I just know that it puts me in a meditative state, and when by the time I finish working out, I feel enriched, and anything that was bothering me, or if I was sad about something, it's gone. It's completely gone because my mind's taken in good breaths and fresh air and things like that. And I, and I got you to thank for that, because I always like to exercise at some point, but when you do it properly, like you're telling us, this is what's important, right?
It 1,000%. It's like, it sounds twisted sometimes. Like, anybody that sees me work out and the intensity I work out at, for me to tell them that I'm in my happy place when I'm there. Like, when I'm working out, that is I'm the same. That's my meditation. That's where, all my stuff just goes away, and I might get in the zone, and I feel so good about it. And it sounds twisted, but it's like, once you like, like anything, a habit usually takes what, 6 weeks or something. I think they say to create a habit. So giving up too early on yourself is not a good thing. Like, get in the gym, be active, sweat a little bit, breathe. Your breath is going to be, your lungs are working harder, everything's working harder. You're going to feel great because of it. And just give it that 6 weeks. And if you can get past that first 6 weeks, usually, like what I tell people, the couple stages of euphoria is, the euphoric feeling is when it feels so good, you want more of it. And so what feels better than somebody telling you that you look great, or, whatever you've been doing, my God, like, you're losing weight, or you're putting muscle on, or that glow on your face is amazing. That feeling is that euphoric feeling that you want more of. So if you don't give up before that 6 weeks, and you actually feel that euphoric feeling from the people, that's going to be that extra motivation that's going to keep you going to the gym and doing what you got to do.
Yeah.
We 100% agree with you, because you do. And, I think it's good that you guys said that about the meditation, because, I do like to sit and meditate, but I also know that meditation doesn't have to be just sitting and meditating, because when you look at people that do yoga and people that do tai chi and some of those kind of exercises, and just in general the exercises that you guys are talking about, it doesn't have to be a sit down thing. You can get rid of those things that are holding you down when you're moving your body. So I think that's amazing. And we're so grateful that you came on with us today. And
we sure.
we're
Oh,
excited to
thank you so
see
much for
you.
having me on. It's been a while since we've been on here, so
Yeah, and we're excited to see you win your competition. And
Can't wait.
yeah. So can
1
you
week
tell,
away. Yep, peak week's here.
yeah, can you tell everybody where they can find you?
I can be reached on a few different things. You can reach me on Instagram at Dean.MacMurray. You can reach me on Facebook at Dean MacMurray. Um, I do have what's that other one? TikTok, but I don't even know what my thing is for it. But those are probably the best two ways to reach me. Um, if anybody has any questions, or if they're interested in online training or anything like that, you can definitely send me a DM on either one of those platforms. I'll always get back to you. I'm a truck driver, so I'm often can't use my phone, but I will get back to you. I get back to everybody. So it's
And
yeah.
can you do training virtually or in person?
I do either one. So if like obviously you live in Alberta, it'd be a little bit harder for me to show up at the gym and train you, but yeah, we can do online training where we set you up with a program. We can set up meal plans. We can set up anything like that, and work out what your goals are, and then I like to build a program off of that, off of the individual. Like there's a lot of cookie cutter programs out there, and I don't like to go with the cookie cutter method because to me, each and every person is individual, and everybody has a different want or a different need. You know, my knees might hurt, yours might not, right? So for me to design a program with something that's going to injure your knee when it's already sore doesn't really make sense because you're not going to want to do that program very long if it sucks, right? So it's
Right.
important that we build individual programs for people, and and then we just watch the progress, right? Like it's just a matter of trusting. You have to trust the progress because or the process, because if you don't trust in your trainer and what they're going to do for you, then it's going to be a rocky road, right? Your trainer should never be doing anything that is going to be bad for you. So it's for me, um, what happens with you reflects onto me. So for me to give you bad advice, or for me to give you, just a cookie cutter program, isn't necessarily going to make me shine. It's not that I'm looking for the accolades and all that different stuff. I'm looking for progress, and I'm looking for healthy people and happy people and stuff like that, ones that are hitting their goals and stuff. So it's if you're hitting your goals and you're happy with what you are, and people are coming up to you and saying, "My God, you look great," and stuff like that, then you know what, my job's done. And I think that's kind of, it's just my passion. It's the way that I look at it. I love. I think I'm a natural teacher in that aspect when it comes to um, the health in the body and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Nice. Yes, you are.
Yeah,
Yes, you are. Yeah,
absolutely.
you're very good.
So if you had a final thought to leave with our followers, what would it be?
Root for me in this competition. No, no. Final
We
thought
will.
for anyone is, you know what? Just believe in yourself. You're capable of more than you think you are. And I think when we doubt ourselves, if we doubt what our abilities are, or like what level my health is at, or like for me just to say I'm overweight and my knees hurt and I can't do it. Don't count yourself out so fast. There's ways around things, and there's a process to it. So don't count yourself out. Like, just believe in what you want. And I think if you believe in what you want and you're willing to chase after it, then your goals are all attainable and within sight.
Yeah.
Right. That's a
Nice.
beautiful
Good
thing.
message. Very good message.
Yes, it was. Well, we loved having you on. Thank you so much for making time to be on here, and we will see you in a couple of days. And everybody else, we will see you on the next one.
You
I
bet
can't
you
wait.
will.
Thank you so much for having me on. Love you guys. Love
Hey,
everybody else too.
love you too. See you soon.
Love
All
you.
right, we'll see you.